This is Chase, and at 27 years old, he is stuck in a middle-class rat race.
I just got back to work, okay paying jobs, worked at a department store part-time, $13 an hour. From there, I was still stuck in that hole because I didn't know exactly what was wrong, how to fix it.
And from that point, he started to mismanage his money. I'm so glad that I'm catching that up. Last year, you've missed on $17,337. And altogether, led him to accumulate over $270,000 of debt. And so, in this video, we'll answer the question everyone wants to know. Is Chase done for? My name is Romain, and for the past 10 years, I've been on a quest to tackle America's toughest personal finance situations. Leveraging my Ivy League master degree and personal experience, I've found solutions for what seems impossible. In 1 year, you can completely be in a different spot. Are we ready to take action?
Yes.
Will this be the one I cannot solve? Let's see what happens. What you will find here in this story is an individual that, although has a really deep understanding of his finances, has not been able to put the right strategies in place to optimize his approach. And so that has led him to lose or miss on opportunities that are valued thousands of dollars. So Chase, walk me through the person at its root.
I think I've never known until recently exactly who I want to be, what I want to do, where I want to go. So I was good at saving when I was young. I saved up money, went to college, spent all my money, came back, moved back in with parents, and then I just got back to work, okay paying jobs, worked at a department store part-time, $13 an hour, whatever. I moved to Lowe's, started, once again, $13 an hour, cashier, simple stuff, and then I quickly moved up. I worked there for 4 years, but within 4 years, I was managing a department at one of the biggest stores in the county. And then from there, I was still stuck in that hole. I was just living in like a depressive hole. I developed a lot of anxiety because I didn't know exactly what was wrong, how to fix it. And then I bought a house, and I'm at the point where I feel like I've done a lot with my money. I've saved a lot of money. I'm okay at money, but I think I need to do more. Like I'm just confused on where to go from here.
That's right. And let's dive right away into the specifics of your finances, Chase. So you work as a self-driving car operator, which is very interesting. It's those Zox cars that are completely driverless here working in Las Vegas. Walk me through a little bit about the job and how much does that pay you?
So it's a very simple job. I'm just kind of watching a car drive itself. In that, I make a pretty good salary. I make $33 an hour there.
$33 an hour. And just out of curiosity, now that those cars are about to launch into the market, do you often find them driving into walls or incidents in general? Or for the most part, the accuracy of driving right now has come to a point where, well, your days are really relaxed. What would you say?
I'd say really relaxed. I mean, to put it this way, and this is probably the same with other companies, I'd say the adage that I've heard and I use now is if every car on the road was an autonomous vehicle, say if every car on the road was a Zox car, it'd be safer. The only issues is, the outside world type of thing. That's the main sort of stuff.
Okay, nice. And so that job is paying you $33 an hour. You're working 40 hours a week. So that is about, on its own, about $68,000 or so coming from your job. But what's also interesting is in a recent month, and actually over a year now, I see that you've built yourself a new company, kind of going through that entrepreneurial venture. Like the majority of Americans that are actually working 9 to 5, people also venture themselves in side hustle, and you found a new passion in that, and it's giving you a little bit of money. Tell me a little bit about that side hustle here.
It's mainly videography. To put it simply, we do a lot of different things. We call ourselves visual media strategists. We offer a little bit more. Initially, it was still hobby-like. We didn't have too many expenses. We had some of the equipment already. It became apparent pretty quickly that we were like, we could make money, and the ceiling for work like this is pretty high, especially if we build it up to a point that we want to, which is, many years down the line. So we got into that. I'd say in 2023, we got the LLC, and that's basically when it started becoming something that made a little bit of money and something that costs a lot of money too.
So on that venture, here I'm seeing that you actually are reporting from your business checking, which is nice to see. You've separate your account about $300 to $400 for you of profit, or about $4,800. Is that right?
Yeah,
Together, that brings at 28 years old your total income at 73,440 or net 5,165. Is that right?
About right. Yeah, I'd say so.
Looking at how that compares in the United States for your age bracket between 25 and 34, 50% make more, 50% make less, is at 50,752. So you're making about, 50% more than the median. Nice. And you've also started this business and we've seen some growth. Now, let's see how. That's going to be very interesting. You've managed your assets. Because as we mentioned previously, you, my friend, are pretty frugal. But guys, there's going to be some crazy insights here. Things are going to surprise yourself. So let's look first at your checking account. You are with probably what I believe is one of the worst banks in America, at least to my eyes, Wells Fargo. But you're reporting here a checking balance of $8,505. Okay. You've spent last month $7,300. But you've only deposited $6,800. So you're about minus $450 on this account. I wish we could see something positive, but we'll see the detail in our expense section. You also have a business checking account here with a balance of $1,203. Now, you're coming here today with also a saving account with a balance of $12,112. Ladies and gentlemen, an amazing annual yield last year of 0.01% or $1.85. So the question that I have for you is for someone that is generally pretty savvy in finance, how the hell are you leaving money on a saving account here that is giving you peanuts? Why?
It's something that I haven't, thought about is the way. I've always just thought about it as just something, savings to have, just a backup. I never thought of it as a moneymaker.
That's right. But what I want for you to realize is that you're being hit by inflation. So last year, just in the value of money, we're going to say about 5% or so. Well, you've lost about $650 worth of value on that money. Whereas you can put something of that into a higher saving account. Guys, there is absolutely no reason in the world that anyone would put money right now into a big bank saving account. You're missing on 5%, 6%. That's $70 a month for exactly the same services. Now, this one is the biggest one, and this one's going to hurt, my friend. I also see that you have a retirement account, which is great to see. Charles Schwab IRA of $21,449. How long ago did you move that money?
It was in a 401k at Lowe's, and that job ended in 2022, I believe. Mm-hmm. It was probably the next year. It was probably 2023 that I put it in.
Okay. So, I have something to tell you. On this retirement account, last year, you've made 0.05% interest. Why? It's because you've never invested that money. So, this is a massive mistake, my friend, with much respect. Mm-hmm. All this money is cash. It's not invested in the market. It's not getting appreciation. If we were to look at performance for that money, assuming that you had invested it in, let's say, the S&P 500 over that time, this one's going to hurt, my friend, because if you had only taken 5 minutes of your time to put that money into, let's say, the S&P 500 over that time, your money would have grown 44.3%.
It is tough.
So you've missed on $9,438 because you did not invest into those positions. Your account balance would be at $31,000 and it's still at $21,500. Friend, I'm so glad that I'm catching that up, because if you were going to live that forever, well, this money is useless. It's even worse than having it into a regular account. You're not even making money and it is losing money. It's a negative retirement investment. How come you have not thought about putting and investing that money? You've never, over the past 2 years, you never thought about looking at that money and seeing not growing? What was your mind behind it?
Yeah, well, I guess a couple of things. One, maybe simple. Now, I know there's easy ways to do it, but simple like financial literacy, like in terms of investing and stuff, I don't really know exactly how. So that's one. But the other thing, maybe similar to with my savings account, just in the bank, is I thought of it more as just like a savings, where it's just something I have on the side that I put money in when I can, and that's how it builds up. Now, to be fair, I have thought about it, especially recently, but what I didn't, I guess maybe I'm afraid of losing money, which I don't know if that makes sense or not. So because my plan is, hopefully my media business is going to take off soon. There are imminent plans in which we're going to have contracts throughout the rest of the year. So could be good and I'll have extra cash. My plan was to have...
But you're going to have extra cash if you withdraw that money. You're going to be penalized heavily.
I was going to use like a chunk, like 5 or 10K.
From that IRA?
I never thought about that being something I can invest in. Like I didn't really know that was what I would do.
I hear what you're saying, but the problem is it's $9,000 wasted to nothing. Like, I'm just going to give you some quick fun perspective just so that we have some fun with it. So assuming that this actually was your retirement money, okay? Yeah. And so let's just put that right there. So 21,773, okay? And that you had not invested it until retirement age. So you just let it be like you've been doing it for over 2 years. So right now we're looking at the retirement age of 65 years old. You have two options. Either you leave it cash and you have $22,000 or PS, or you invest it and you would have $739,000.
So one sounds better than the other.
Right? So guys, please always check that your money into your retirement is invested. It sounds super basic, but look here. We've lost $10,000 from 5 minutes. Gosh. Okay. Now, it gets even juicier than that. We thought that this was all, but no, it's not the case. Next thing, you also bought a car. Okay, you ended up buying a car new, cash. I like to hear that. An Honda CR-V here with a value of about $20,773. But the big juice. And before we dive into the juice, people always ask me, Romain, how do you save money? Well, the answer is not always a new budget. Sometimes it's about fixing things that I already have. So let me run you through a brief story. A couple of months ago, my Mac was running like it was 2009. Everything was slow and I felt that I maybe needed a new one, but I didn't want to spend the extra $1,500 to acquire a new Mac. So I looked online and that's when I found Clean My Mac. It instantly cleared years of junk files, broken downloads, duplicate, cache from apps I don't even use anymore. But the game changer is their cloud cleanup feature. What it does is scan files from your iCloud, your Google Drive, and your OneDrive and look for the ones that are just wasting space. It analyzes that data both on your Mac and on your cloud, doing all of that locally without risking any of my data. And now my laptop runs like new. No updates, no extra storage fees. Guys, here, that's real savings. It's like personal finance. Sometimes, guys, it's not about making more, but it's about maximizing what you've got. So boost your speed, cut costs, and get tidy today. You can try Clean My Mac for 7 days for free by using the link in the description below and use the code Romain for 20% of your subscription. The big element of the story is you also bought a house.
Yes.
Now you bought a house that is currently valued at $277,000.
I paid $271 actually.
You paid $271 a year and a year and 2 months ago.
Sure.
What if I was to tell you that mathematically it was a mistake?
Well, then I'd have to live with it.
I'm going to tell you why.
Sure.
Because you currently have a mortgage of 7.49%. Your mortgage expenses on that house, I calculated, is $2,149. But out of that $2,149, in principle, you are only paying $219. So, not only have you been drilled with crazy interest over the past year or so on an asset that you've contributed in principal down about $3,000, but on top of that, you've been paying for HOAs for $160. So you've been paying for a house $2,400 when the rent estimate for it is $1,500. Right? And appreciation on that asset is not great neither. Right? Your appreciation on that asset, let's just make some quick math, was 2.5% last year. So there is something, guys, that I will always recommend for when we think about making a house purchase, okay? And that is refers to as right now we're going to call it the 6% rule, okay? That's a mathematical calculation that you guys can apply at home. That's pretty easy. That tells you right away if you should be a renter or if you should be a buyer. So what the 6% rule tells you is as follow. And follow along, guys, as it gets interesting. When you're thinking about buying a house, you want to look at the purchase value of that house. So in that case, it was $271,000 for you. Okay? And oh, by the way, I didn't account for the taxes as well as the insurance on the escrow and all of that. Anyway, when it comes to calculation. So you want to look at the total value of the house, in that case, $271,000. You want to multiply it by 6%. And then divide it by 12. What is the 6% is for? It is to account for multiple things, including the loss opportunity on a down payment, whether you would have invested that money instead on the market versus investing into a house, on the difference in appreciation of the stock market versus the house. The stock market last year rose 25%. Your house rose 2.5%. Taxes on the house, which if you were a renter, you wouldn't be paying for those. Maintenance, and so on. So with that calculation at 271 times 6% divided by 12, the golden number is 1,355. Oh, and I forgot to say, sorry. I forgot to mention your interest on your loan, right? Which is absolutely crazy. 7.5% is insane. If your mortgage on that house was higher than 1,365, then you are better renting. In that case, unfortunately, I must tell you, you've been losing in your house acquisition over $900 per month. How do you feel when I tell you that?
I guess, well, it hurts hearing large numbers leaving, in the negative, but it makes sense to me to have the property now because interest rates just weren't going to drop. To me, and maybe I'm wrong, it makes more sense to get what I can now, obviously crazy interest rate, a lot of expenses, but own the property as opposed to who knows how long I'd be renting, 2-3 years. And there's other ways to make money. And obviously you're telling me many ways which I missed and which going forward I can do to make more money. But that's what I was thinking when I got the house. I didn't want to spend years renting and kind of throwing that money at it when it could be, even if it's not going great right now, going towards something that, I own and then later on can make money if I'm renting it, etc.
So that's the whole thing, guys. Somehow, and I must tell you, in some ways, you're still into that old school house ownership American dream. And what you're finding is that more and more millennials and more millionaires are deciding to go for the option of renting. And mathematically, in your case, it just currently doesn't pan out the way we would want it to be. And you're suffering from low appreciation on your assets, but still, it's because you're being so drilled by interest compared to the value of the rental market in Las Vegas. Now, this doesn't always apply. Sometimes your real estate investment right now, like let's say in the Tennessee or the Wisconsin in the world, give you that 1%. And the 1% is if a house has a value of $100,000, if you're able to rent it for more than $1,000 per month, you're a winner. It's generally a good deal.
Right. Okay?
In the Tennessee of the world, you can buy a house right now for about $100,000, $150,000, and rent it for $1.8 per month. That's not the case.
No.
Right? Your house is worth $280,000 and the rent is estimated at $1,500. So you're at
pretty a little over the line. Huh? Yeah.
Pretty rough on that front. Okay, well, look, together that currently brings your assets, if we were to sum anything, at $341,042. But there is a but. We have quite a bit of debt. Let's look at the debt. The biggest one is definitely your mortgage, right now showing a balance of $269,251 at an interest rate of 7.5%. As I mentioned previously, you've paid about $3,000 or so of principal over the first 13 months of owning the house, so not much going on down there. That currently brings your housing expenses against your income, because I included also electricity, the HOA, maintenance, and so on, at 48%. We like it generally to be below 28.
Yeah.
So you're, in a way, house poor. Hopefully, it's because you're so frugal on other aspects of your life that you're not feeling the pain. But from a percentage aspect, 50% of what you're making goes into your mortgage, where you're only contributing about $300 of principal. That's sometimes the reality of house ownership. So guys, don't always jump into it too fast. What's nice to see, though, is that because you were frugal during most of your early life, you were able to pay right away for your student loans. Is that right?
Correct. Yep.
On the other side, credit card debt, you're, again, very good about it. You have a balance of $94. That's pretty good to go. That currently brings your total number of debt. We are spinning through the process at $269,345. Current net worth, my friend, at 20 years old, at $71,697. Okay?
Yeah.
71,000, actually 72,000. How do you feel about it?
Just hearing the number sounds good to have that net worth. I mean, it sounds good in theory.
It sounds good in theory, but again, you have the symptoms of what I refer to as dead money. You're doing so great on the side with your expenses, speaking of which, we're going to dive right away into those. But on the other side, you're just letting it be. And money that's not making money for you, or that's not being invested in some as ways, is losing value. Or 5% or so per year. So what's worth 1,000 this year is worth 950 or so next year, because of inflation. The cost of goods increases, the cost of life increases, but your money goes down, not in the amount, but in the value that it allows you to pay for. Definition of inflation. Now, let's look at how you spend your money. So my friend here, for the most part, what's nice to see is that, my friend here, you are the number one member of AMC. You're going to AMC every other week or so. I mean, every other, actually, days in some ways. Yeah. About 30 times a year here, I see it. And what's nice to see, though, is that you have the membership.
Yep.
But you're allowing yourself some fun popcorns and so on. What's going on with that?
I mean, I said I love cinema and film and stuff, and it's what I'm trying to do for my profession, but just the pure aspect of seeing a movie, disappearing into it, experience it, seeing life at a different lens when I walk out. One of the things I live for. It's a pleasure, like a pleasantry, but it's like technically a priority. Like if I had to stop seeing movies for some reason, I would, like if I physically couldn't afford it, or I didn't want to afford it, I would, but it's important.
I'm going to tell you a fun fact. I don't know if you were part of it, but there was a program called Movie Pass. Have you heard of it?
I was big when they first started. It was a great deal at first.
$10 a month and you could go unlimited?
Yeah.
I bankrupt them.
Yeah.
I would go like 2 to 3 times a week.
Oh, trust. I mean, no wonder they went under.
There was no way. You would pay, hold on, I actually got it on promotion. It was $90 a year.
I paid like $6.95 a month.
And you would go unlimited.
Yeah, I was going the same like 30 times a year, basically, which doesn't sound it's a lot.
By the way, movie theaters, they generally don't make money of the movies.
Yeah,
they make movie purely of the concessions. That's why you're seeing the $27 off popcorns and so on. Okay, other fun things that I'm seeing is that you're also going to Escapology. $76. What is that?
My girlfriend and my current girlfriend, been together for like 2 years. Wonderful lady. The first date we ever went on was a horror escape room, the Blair Witch escape room, and that stuck. We suck at them, rarely solve them, but it's a fun way to spend some time.
All right.
2 tickets, that's about right.
$80 on that, okay. I'm seeing you also, your favorite venue is the Pokeball, $31, $25, $27. You're going out quite a bit, huh?
It's started to pick up a little bit more, but I don't know. it's mainly like one or two places. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not too hot. I feel like I don't spend as much money on food as a lot of people. But yeah, when I go, I don't really like hold back. I'm getting the large, etc. That type of thing.
Okay, that's fair. Although what I can agree with you on that front, the other things that I'm seeing is crazy. Traveling expenses. Expedia 411. Although you got refunded on some of that.
Yeah. So that kind of evens out.
Alaska 300. Delta 82. Well, you're traveling the world. What's going on?
Everywhere. No. See, I book through Expedia when I go to places, and in this specific case, this one is for pleasure. I'm gonna go down to Idaho for just a couple of days to get away. But yeah, so the first one, I booked it, made a mistake, had to cancel it. So some pending charges, some had to be refunded. So that's why it looks like I'm traveling everywhere, and but it's technically one place.
Well, although last month. You've been going down $450 on your checking account. How do you explain that to me, my friend?
So I think you kind of pointed out, and it's something I've noticed, and that's one reason why I thought it would be good to come on here, because I knew the moment I bought a house that like I wasn't going to be able to save the way I did and have these huge account totals. Well, relatively, I'm sure a lot of people would love to have what I'm looking at, but since I got the house, I knew the first few months I'd be kind of bleeding money because there's a lot of expenses early on, et cetera, et cetera. But then after like maybe 6-ish months, I kind of realized like every month, like I'm not making enough money, basically. So, and some stuff you could cut out, even if I only grocery shopped and I maybe went to like an escape room like once and my girlfriend paid for her ticket type of thing, still I'd be in that position. So it's because I'm a bit off a bit more than I can chew.
Right. I mean, when we look at some of the rest of your expense, again, transportation wise, you already bought your car cash. You're spending about 150 on gas or so, 115 on insurance, and I actually checked your insurance before coming here. What's nice to see is that you had, guys, please be careful about that, the same amount on bodily injury than on uninsured, underinsured. Always match it. What insurance providers, they want to give you is a max on the bodily damage that's generally useless or except if you're the one responsible. But if an asshole hits you and he doesn't have insurance or not enough to cover, then you're screwed. So you always want to match bodily injury to uninsured, underinsured. The insurance that I would recommend is at least $100,000 to $300,000. So $100,000 per person, $300,000 per accident. You're at $5,100, but you have an amazing price for Vegas. You're paying $115 per month. That brings, my friend, which is nice to hear, your car expenses to 5% of your income. Thank you. That helps to compensate. We like it to be below 15. Okay. So you're helping and you're saving yourself a little bit there. I also see that you're spending about $95 or so on Cox Mobile. And looking at your business statements, you guys last month brought in $3,500, but you took out $4,600, a lot of which is driven by business investments like Adobe, Amazon. How do you explain a minus on the business front?
I think we'll technically turn a profit both of our first years, but what it is we're at the point where we have to put capital into equipment and then opportunities, whether it's, I don't know how to explain that, but like the Adobe, every month I pay $60 a month so I can have the complete Adobe suite, and that's how I do my editing and everything. And then even recently, like Amazon, like I'm pretty sure it's on that statement, I spent like $475 on more lights. We both have a lighting setup already, but we needed to supplement it because the level of production and the type of looks we want to get, we each need a lighting setup. So that's an example. I'm just at the point where we have to keep getting more. Now there's more on the horizon.
So wait, you are pretty much renting your equipment? What does that mean?
So we buy, it's just, what it is, I guess the way to put it, we need more. So we own everything we have right now. And we've rented a couple camera lenses or whatever, but that's not really what we stick with. We want to have this stuff now so that we can, when we need to upgrade or get more, we can offset the cost a little. You know what I mean?
So how do you make money in this business?
So it's through the services. So it's basically videography, like I said, to boil it down. And we do a variety of stuff. We just shot a commercial for a company called Royal Tap. That brought in $1,200. We shot a wedding, two or three different weddings last year, and I'd say we just averaged bringing it, and that's between two of us, we averaged like $1,000. So right now it's cheap.
Yeah,
But
you're kind of getting your name out there.
now I have to spend all this money and spend all my time outside of my 9 to 5 working that in. And that's why we're seeing a lot of, negative stuff here. And if I can get to the point where the media company is the self-sustaining, if that's my job, then it opens everything up. The 9 to 5 is kind of a block right now to my freedom and time.
That's right. And again, guys, it's all about timing and the way you approach that side hustle. So I don't want people to say, oh, that's it. I'm done with my 9 to 5. It's time to jump on it. No. If you want to go at it and do it the right way, you either do it like you, which is great. You've secured, and I did that for a year or so. I was working 80 hours weeks at Amazon and doing this on the side and kind of venturing into different opportunities. And because you have the structure, the pillar to maintain your regular cost of living. You're not betting everything and then you happen to maybe not making it work, which for the most part, sometimes, guys, it's just the way it is. A mistake or just a business that just don't evolve the right way. I give you an example for mine very quickly. I was selling Frenchy bracelets, which we still do. You guys can check it out in the description below. And I decided to open a broken mortgage, right? Mm-hmm. What a mistake, you would say. We installed wood panels to make it feel fancy. And people were more interested in the wood panels than in the freaking bracelet. Okay, so I was like, there is something here. The bracelet boutique was failing. So after a few months, we decided to close that down. But what was surprising is when I had those wood panels, I decided to sell them on Facebook Marketplace. I had 22 and somehow they sold in a week. And I was like, hold on, there's something here. My cost is about $50 each. I sell them for $110. Maybe there's something. I bought 44, sold them in 2 weeks. I bought 86, sold them in 2.5 weeks. And I was like, whoa, hold on. Here there's something that I can do that's, somehow is working. So I bring a new color. I sell. I bring a new color. I sell. I bring a new product. And little by little, my friend, over the course of the past 6 or 7 months, I've sold for over $70,000 of wood panels.
Unreal.
From a massive fail. So sometimes, guys, the first thing that you see is not maybe the one that's going to bring you to the real outcome. And maybe it's temporary, but you've also put yourself in a right mindset where you're not just valuing the financial compensation, but mostly the experience as well. So I praise you for that, and that's the right way to look at this. But we are here and speaking about finance, and especially about some of your inefficiencies. Let's bring that into numbers as we dive together into the money case. Because you've not optimized your money, you've lost on some opportunity. Okay, you've not been wasting your monies into Starbucks or Uber Eats or any of that. I can't comment on that. But in some other ways, because of your lack of financial knowledge and investments, you've lost yourself thousands of dollars. So I'm going to start soft.
All right.
Because you've not invested your money into a high-yield saving account, you've lost $666. That's the number one. Second thing, because you've also not invested your Roth IRA into the right position over the course of last year, you've lost $5,635. Remember, last time we mentioned since 2023, this is just last year. If you had invested into the S&P 500, you would have had 5,000 or so plus more of net worth.
Right.
And the last one, this is the one that you're probably not going to agree with me on, but I just have to tell you the way it is. Unfortunately, I feel that right now your house has not been the best financial investments, as you know. And I've calculated that, unfortunately, you've lost about $900 per month on it.
Per month is tough.
If you had invested that money instead, that represents about $11,000 instead of investing it in your house. So together, because of the financial mismanagement or just in general, last year, you've missed on $17,337.
What a number, huh?
How do you feel when I tell you that?
I mean, it hurts. It hurts. Now, I'm relatively comfortable with some of my decisions, and I'm working towards something, but it's that's a big pile of cash to not have in my advantage.
Right? So I'm glad that you actually came here today because I'm going to walk you through strategies that are going to allow you to benefit and better optimize your finances. Let's look at the blueprint. So when we think about the finance blueprint for you, my friend, I want to bring a couple of concepts. Number one, we look at your needs. This is the amount of money that you need to survive per month. And I calculated, including your rent, your mortgage, your car, insurance, communication, food, blah, blah, blah. That is $3,245.
Okay.
Or 63% of your income. Friend, what you think and what you learn to realize is that 50% of your income goes to your house. So you're just so frugal on everything else, thanks God. But 63%, we like it to be below 50. Now, for the rest of your expenses, I don't want to cut you from living a life.
Yeah.
So I'm going to allocate about $400 or so for
Seems
your
fair.
wants. That is to go out with the girlfriend, escape room. It's about $100 a week. Escape room, the Pokeball, the, Starbucks. I saw a few transactions, not as many. Not too bad, but you need to live, You need to get that popcorn and that Diet Coke at the cinema. $400, okay? That is 8% of your income. If you can keep it to that, that will be nice.
Seems fair.
Now, there is a gold number. This is the number that I want you to put in your mind. This is the number that you should allocate towards pay back debt, save, or invest. In your case, investment related, right now you have zero. None of your money is being invested. Nowhere. I'm aggressive, but I think you can do it, okay? And when I use that gold number, this can also be the number that you invest into your business. I would account that as an investment, okay? It's $1,500. It looks like a lot, I know, but mathematically, from looking at all your transactions, it is possible. Now, yeah, you're not going to go and spend the $700 or so of trips that you spent last month on Expedia, Alaska Air, United. But that is part of your $400 budget. So, what are we going to do with all of this? Let's speak strategy for a minute. One, the first thing that you're going to do right now is move a portion of what you have on your checking account. You have about $8,000 or so. You're going to leave $5,000. You're going to move every single cent that you have outside of it into your saving account. And guess what? You're going to move that stupid saving account that is on Wells Fargo shit to a higher saving account. We like to encourage someone like public.com. It's our preferred partner. They're going to give you 4% or so, depending on when you guys watch this video. So already, your emergency fund is golden. Second thing, you're going to go tonight on Charles Schwab, and you're going to freaking invest that Roth IRA money. The 0.05% is not good. I'm not a fan of it. Okay? And you're going to invest into positions that, this is no financial advice, but personally, I encourage, I do like the VOO of the world for the S&P 500, QQQ for technology company, VGT, VTI for Vanguard Technology Investments. Don't worry, I will give you the rest. SPYI on the dividend play. And if you were to invest into a brokerage account, I also like about personally 10% of your investment into crypto, 7% BTC, 3% ETH. So instantly already, we're going to finally put money to use for once. Thank you. It's about time.
It's definitely high. You're right. Tonight, that's high on the priority.
Moving on to the rest of your personal assets before we dive into the business front. Your car. Well, your car right now, there is not much that we can do. You paid for it. It's a good brand. It's okay. I would never buy new. As always, you guys know that I like the sweet spot for buying a car is between 2 to 3 years, maybe certified pre-owned, below 30,000 miles, buy it at the end of the quarter, preferably at the end of the year. If you have no money and you want to buy cash, go on Facebook Marketplace, find a $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 car, Honda, Toyota, Mitsubishi. Go with a mechanic that you find for $125 to make sure that they're not being sold to you a lemon. But on your case, look, the car right now, we can't do anything about it. It's 5% of your income. I'm okay with that. Moving on. With regards to your house, I'm going to give you the mathematical interpretation. Okay?
Sure.
But I'm also going to give you the real one. Mathematically, I would sell. In reality, you're going to tell me, Romain, fuck off, I'm never going to do that. Is that right?
I mean, maybe not as mean, but yeah.
Which I completely understand. Look, the goal right now is for you to refinance as fast as humanly possible. That's pretty much the goal for it. Nothing really to be done here. If you were to sell the house, you would make a profit of about $6,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just go through the loan right now and try to refinance as soon as possible. It was not the greatest deal, I must tell you.
Yeah. No.
Okay. Well, we bite the bullet. It is what it is. At least you're investing into an asset. Although $300 of principal per month on a $2,500 mortgage. We won't say more about this. You know what my thoughts on that. Now, let's speak thinking strategically, guys. If you guys are thinking about building a side hustle, and you are in that kind of trajectory where it starts to get legit, right? You're making about $300 or so per month of profit to yourself, but the business is making a little bit. You know, last month, you guys made a few $1,000, $3,500 coming in. Okay, so you guys are in the money. So what would I do? Well, first, you did good. You're opening a business checking. I love to see that. It's at a name, and I'm not seeing so much of cross-pollination, meaning you're able to split well your expenses between your business and your personal. You generally never want to pierce what we refer to as the corporate veil. Okay, you don't want to use the personal cards for business. It always becomes madness. Now, generally, if you want to push the envelope to be even better about your business, you want to apply what I refer to as the real wealth metrics. That's a little bit more advanced. You have a revocable living trust at the top. Then you have a holding company that's generally into an asset protected state, such as the Wyoming of the world, and an operating company that's state specific. You went right away, and because it's your first one, into a state operating company that's generally under your name. You have no asset protection, but that's just the way to do it. It's okay to start like this. You open a business checking. Good. Now, what you do from there? Well, if you're seeing enough expenses instead of using a debit card, I recommend to use a credit card. And generally, you want to benefit from bonuses. When you want to open a business, I love Chase as a credit card, for example, where if you spend $6,000 or so in the first 3 months of having the card, you get about $1,200 back. We can't say no to that. What they're going to do is they're going to use your own credit report, your own social security, to give you that first credit limit. Okay, you have decent credit limit, so I imagine that you generally will be fine. Although it's always better to build your personal credit limit first before you apply for a business credit card, because otherwise, they're going to not give you the limits that you need in order to operate properly. Although you can do that. I presume that you've also gotten an EIN. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. The EIN is kind of your social security for your business. This is a way to identify to the taxes about your business. This is good to have. Next thing I want for you to do is to create what is referred to as a business credit score. Yes, most people don't know, but the business as a unit can have a credit score. You have your own that is attached to you, but you also have the business. How you do that is you apply for what is referred to as a DUNS, D-U-N-S number, to establish a credit file. And generally, that is being done with a company that's called Dun & Bradstreet. Okay? Now, if you want to push the envelope a little further, okay, and what you want to do is sometimes create, like you do on credit cards for your personal credit score, a trace of payments for your business. And to do that, generally you go with pretty big suppliers like Uline, for example, for packaging. Maybe you're familiar with them.
I've heard of them, yeah.
And what they do is they report your payments to the Business Credit Bureau. So that's a good way as well to take to build traceability of payments the same way you would be doing with a business credit card. Okay. You always want to keep your utilization low. So it's below than 30% of the credit line that you have. And, for the most part, you do not want to put personal guarantee for your business. Focus on putting everything that you can under your business name. What does that mean? If you have a car or a van that you're operating for your media company, don't put it under your name, put it under the business name. If you have insurance, put it under the business name. The idea for you is to separate your liability from you as an individual to your business. Okay? Generally, there is umbrella policy and so on that you can have in place, and just business insurance. Also consider business insurances. So overall, from a financial assessment perspective, look, you are in a great spot. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. I would say that you're in a pretty good spot. You've not optimized yourself just because of lack of investment into the right positions, but at $73,000 and a solid main job, aspiring side hustle that's finally pulling money, I think that at 28 years old, you're in a pretty good spot. How do you feel, though, about some of the components that I mentioned to you today?
Well, I mean, just first of all, overall, I'm glad I came here. This seems really, really helpful. And I think I mentioned it. There's a certain level of financial literacy, like even when it comes to how to invest, like just certain stuff I didn't think of. Like, you're mentioning my savings account is losing me money. It's a simple thing to just move, like you said, move a little more, get into the higher savings account. And then the IRA, once again, I didn't even think like I could just use that money that's already in there and just invest that instead of getting more income and then opening like a new account. So I feel pretty good in theory. Now, obviously, you disagree with the house purchase and everything, and listen, that's fine. But I think you've shed a very clear light on a lot of money I've left off the table. Basically,
that's it.
I didn't take it out of my pocket, but I never put it in. Yeah. So, and you've given me, it's nice because it's so simple. Just a few simple things to really start to turn me around, which sounds fun. It sounds fun to do, really. Honestly, I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, that's right. And right now we are pretty much at the finance stage one-on-one. But then as you continue and think about evolving your business, there are so many tax write-off possibilities that you can do. Ultimately, if you pass a certain threshold of income, which is generally over $50,000 of income, you're going to want to change your tax election from an LLC to an S Corp. Guys, keep in mind all of this. If at some point you're thinking about opening a business, this is going to allow you to modify your tax and be very advantageous for you, because you're no longer going to be reported as a self-employed. You're going to be reported as an owner, and then you're going to gain distribution. But those are some of the first grounds that I think you're going to accomplish greatly. So I will be following up with you through all of that. Make sure that your money is finally invested, and I think we're going to be ready to rock and roll. Any final words?
Just a couple cliches real quick. Be smart, take risks, do what you want to do, and then have those good people around you, man. I'd be nowhere without my business partner and my friends and family.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. We hope you enjoyed this episode, as well as many others that are available in the channel below. I invite you to like and subscribe. Until then, I see you guys next time. À bientôt.